So Mason, you probably don't know about this because you probably don't just hang out with us all the time. But we just, a couple of weeks ago, we surpassed 7,000 plus testimonials from our clients in the last 30 months, 29, 30 months, a little bit over 7,000. We hit that mark about 2 weeks ago.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know which one testimonial you're in there or anything, but so sometimes, we try to, when we only do 1 or 2 of these interviews each week, it's like we have to be selective. Which industry are we going to interview? Because we train every industry at this point. Okay. So we're trying to mix and mingle different industries so everybody can see what's possible for them. Because I think when people see testimonials in our Facebook group, that's because that's where a lot of them come in, or from Instagram as well. Sometimes they're like, well, I mean, that's them. That's Mason. Like, he's such a cool guy. He's got a beard and, his eyebrows look really cool and he's got a really cool necklace. That must be why he makes so much money. Like, I could never do that. Or they'll be like, well, what industry is he or she in? Because it's got to be their industry. That's why they make so much money. If I could only get in their industry, I could make the same amount of money. But when I look up all these different industries, what the average salesperson makes, it's way, way less. So what gives? So I always ask, were you born out of your mother's womb with advanced questioning skills and advanced tonality, or is that something you possibly had to learn and acquire?
Definitely had to learn and acquire.
Just going out on a limb there for folks at home watching us right now. So today we're going to break down Mason's process, and we're going to talk about how Mason literally 2 years ago was an engineer, probably not thinking about sales or sales training. And now everything has changed for him now, where he makes so much money, his company, so many sales, that his company lets him travel, lets him work for wherever he wants to go just because of his performance. And can you imagine you learning those type of skill sets and ability where you could quite literally have that freedom too, because your company doesn't care when you're making them a ton of money. All right. I'm Jeremy Miner. I'm the chairman and founder of Seventh Level. Okay, now we are a sales training firm, obviously an organization that trains salespeople exactly like you watching me and Mason right now. Okay, so we train salespeople like you. We train sales executives like you. We train sales management like you, sales leaders. We train coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, business owners, and we help you and your teams transform the way you sell by learning specific skilled questions and techniques, as Mason knows now, that work with human behavior. What does it mean to work with human behavior rather than work against it? And we're gonna peel the layers back on that today for you with Mason. Now, those are known as neuro-emotional persuasion questions, NEPQ. So when we say NEPQ, neuro-emotional persuasion questions. Now, we also have to teach you not just the questions, but how are you asking the questions? Because people aren't just going to open up and tell you everything you want to know by asking a few surface level questions. They're not just going to open up like that. So how do you get them to want to open up? How do you get them to disarm and want to engage and let their guard down, where they feel comfortable opening up to you and tell you what's really going on and actually persuade and sell themselves? We're going to focus on that today. Now, all right, now Mason, let's talk about this. Nobody cares about me. They're selfishly only care about themselves and their sales ability. I don't know why. All right, so walk us through 2 years ago. Where were you at 2 years ago?
Yeah, for sure. So 2 years ago, I was a full-time medical device engineer. And I absolutely hated it, actually. Had gone through college, university to get prepped for it. And
so you were an engineer. Tell me what you did as an engineer in medical device. What does that mean?
That means like I designed implants all day, like products for surgeries, like really nerdy stuff.
So you were the designer. You weren't selling you weren't selling knee implants or anything like that. You were the person back there, the smart guy designing all that stuff. Most people would say, oh, there's a bunch of introverted nerds back there designing that kind of stuff.
That's correct.
Okay, so you're designing all the medical device equipment. You hate it. What in the heck caused you to be like, hey, I should get into sales?
It's a good question. And kind of raw truth, had some health challenges come up where I had to sort of step back from that gig and in that time, when I stepped back from that gig, I had clarity that I really didn't want to continue down that path. And at the same time, I had no idea what was going to be next.
Okay.
Right. So I ended up actually getting recruited by a friend in my time of low into an MLM company. Right. Like,
Okay. Where you
like,
have to, you have to sell, right? It's probably one of the
yes.
hardest sales if you don't know how to sell properly.
Yeah, it was really, really difficult for sure.
Okay. How well did you do in your first sales / job or role?
Not so hot. So that first year, I think I made $1,500 and like a total of, I enrolled like 11 people in the year. So that was less than one person per month.
So you were living the dream, probably in a tent down by the river at that point.
Yeah, I was living on my aunt's couch. So that was cool.
Okay. So that was your first experience of sales. Okay. So
yeah.
Where did you go from there at that point? What happened?
I started looking for more roles. I found my first like sales role, which was like a marketing company for like dentists. And that was still like that was like halfway. I only was there for like 6 months, 3 months or 4 months into it is when I found like the closing code and NEPQ and math.
So that's
and everything.
when you started getting into NEPQ 2.0, 3.0. I know you eventually got into Inner Circle, our advanced training. Okay, so tell us what you sell now, what you've been selling for the past year and a half.
Almost 2 years. Yeah, year and a half, I think, something like that. Right now I sell speaker training. So like pretty much helping people get onto like world-class stages, promote themselves, step into their next level of speaking and influence, kind of like PR in a sense.
Okay, so it's kind of like PR. So you work for a company that basically helps speakers or whoever like brand themselves enough where they can get on stage, they can spread their message through TEDx talk and those type of things. So it could be anybody from somebody that has a great book about underwater basket weaving to somebody that's maybe passionate about the environment that wants to speak on TEDx to somebody that's passionate about, whatever, transmissions and engines, and they want to tell the world their message. They want to get on TEDx. Okay.
I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all.
Okay. Now, so that's kind of a unique sale. That's not something you would hear a lot about.
No.
Okay, so you got into it. You started, I think, did you start with them before you got into our training or kind of right after?
Kind of like during. So I was I was in Inner Circle and I just got in.
Okay, so you kind of timed it at the same spot. All right, so
yeah,
I would say a lot of people would say, that industry seems that would be kind of hard to sell. So in your mind, so when these people come to you, are they just like lay down sales, like here's my credit card, I'm ready to just throw it in there? Or how do they come to you?
We do have some decent marketing. I got to give them some props, but they're definitely not at credit card stage, like walking onto the phone. There is plenty of massaging and question asking that needs to happen to get to that point where they can persuade themselves and make that decision ultimately for themselves that it really does make sense to move forward.
Yeah. So let's talk about like the old way you used to sell when you got out of engineer school. If you had applied that to your new sales job you got a year and a half ago,
I just didn't know how. Yeah. But as far as the way, I think it lacked the depth that NEPQ has.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? What does that mean? It lacked the depth.
Well, I mean, even just the way you're asking me that question now, right, is like an example of being able to get to that next level of clarification. Like I always kept things pretty surface. Okay. And I didn't really know that I was keeping them surface. And then I get to the end of calls and be like, why didn't we move forward? Like this made no sense.
So let me guess,
frustrating.
You get a lot of objections like, I need to think it over. I need to talk with my spouse, or with what you sold, because it's B2C. It'd be, I need to talk to my spouse. I need to keep looking at other companies. I need to keep researching. I need to keep it's too expensive. Are those the type of objections you got?
Yeah, for sure.
We only get those objections, so everybody knows, because we don't know how to take your prospects below the surface. Unless they are a lay down sale, which all of us know that's not 95% of your prospects you're talking to, and they're just willing to show up and throw up and go deep, which 95% of the people are not. If we stay surface level, then we're battling objections all the time, and we get a few here and there, but then we lose most of them, right?
Yeah.
Now let's just break down some of your sales process now that you've learned from the Advanced Inner Circle. Let's talk about connecting questions. Now, do you, with your sales job, are they outbound leads that request information that you're calling them back, or are they people booking on your calendar inbound leads?
Booking inbound, yeah. So
so these people, they've gone through some type of ad, and they booked on your calendar. I'm assuming probably don't know much about your company. It's not like they've been like, I've been waiting to book with this company for 3 years. So they don't know much about you guys.
No.
But then
like one video, basically.
Yeah. So then they book on the calendar, right? Let's see. Jeremy, have you considered doing company sales meetings? I manage a pharmaceutical sales team for specialty pharmacy, and we are vetting speakers for a meeting in February 23. Love your content. Yes. We do those all the time. We do them virtual and do lots of keynotes, lots of training all the time. I feel like I'm on a plane, or some of our sales trainers are on a plane like half of every day, it seems like. So yes, just reach out to us, who you message. I don't know what your name is, Verak on YouTube. Just join the free Facebook group and then just message us, and my team can get your people details, right? Anyways, that's a whole nother subject, Mason. Okay, let's talk about your connecting questions.
Yeah.
So when you get on with them, what's and we've given you, because I think I wrote out your sales structure with you through Voxer, because you were in our advanced Inner Circle program, but I don't remember exactly your connecting questions. Just give us an example. We're not going to give all of them away because you paid to help. What's one example of a connecting question, or how do you start off that conversation where you're not triggering sales resistance like so many people do?
Totally. Pretty much the most important thing is just like, Jeremy, I mean, curiously, like when you went through the ad and the webinar, like what was it that actually attracted your attention to want to book a call and take some time?
Yeah. And how did they react to that? That's not the first question you're asking, obviously.
No.
But that's like probably 3 down the line, but how did they react to that? Why do we have you ask that?
I want them to tell themselves why they booked the call, and like really get a sense of like what they were hoping for or actually looking for from being on this call. Yeah. That way they can remind themselves they chose to be here, right?
Yeah. And that's on an inbound lead, everybody. If you're doing an outbound lead, there's a different process. Now let's talk about the very first thing out of your mouth, because these people are inbound leads with what you're getting. So they book on your calendar. And I think are you on with them on Zoom or the telephone?
Yeah, I'm on Zoom.
Primarily Zoom. Okay. So face to face. So when you get on there, are you getting on there and saying, hey, how are you doing today? Oh, you're doing really good. Oh, how's the weather over there? Oh, yeah, the weather's really bad here. Or how are you starting that call?
Not usually.
I would
just sort of like that typically goes off down like a tangent. Usually it's more of like the first thing is just checking, is this still an okay time? Like, hey, I saw that you had booked some time on the calendar about possibly getting some support with, getting on a TEDx stage. I guess curiously, is this still an okay time? Like, I want to check in that it was still a good time. And then also, have you found what you're looking for, or are you still sort of looking?
Yeah. And I would give you some advice. Like, since they booked on your calendar as an inbound lead, I wouldn't even ask them if it's still a good time, because they're the one that booked the time. Outbound leads for sure, because they don't even know when you're calling them. But I would even eliminate that from your process. So, okay. So it looks like hey, so can you hear me okay? Okay, good. Okay. So it looks like, okay. So it looks like you booked on the calendar about looking at possible outside help to really grow your business and get your message out on TEDx, right? Okay, good.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the first part of this call, I mean, it's pretty basic. It's more for us to kind of find out more about kind of where you're at in your business now, like where you're at as far as getting your message out there compared to, let's say, where you're wanting it to be, just so we can kind of see what that gap looks like, to make sure we can actually help. I was curious though, and that's where you go into it. I was curious, like when you went through I think you were on the webinar the other day when he was talking about X and Y and Z. What was it about the kind of what he was saying that really, let's say, attracted your attention? Now, Mason, why is the tonality? Because I know you were just kind of saying it there. with what I was doing there. Why is that tonality so important with what I did in slowing down?
Yeah, I mean the slowing down diffuses like sales resistance and tension in the conversation. Like they just got on a call with you.
Yeah.
It's like they just got into an elevator with a stranger, essentially.
Yeah.
So like we need to be able to neutralize and get them to open up and be able to just hear us and not have it go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. Mason's right. So what he means by that is we want to disarm the prospect. So when he says we want to get the tension out, every time somebody is coming into any sales interaction, especially if it's an inbound lead, or even if they answer the phone for an outbound lead, or even if it's a cold call that answers the phone, there's tension there, right? It's just built-in tension. And unless they're just like, oh my gosh, I've been praying for this sales meeting my whole life. I'm ready to pay with my credit card right when they say their first couple words, which is 1 in a million prospect.
Yeah.
There's always going to be tension. So your job as a sales professional is to reduce that tension, is to get rid of that tension. And when you're reducing that tension, when you're reducing the sales resistance, it triggers them to open up.
Yeah.
And that's how they start to open up and go below the surface. Because if you just come out and start triggering sales resistance and just start asking some consultative questions, as Mason said, your prospects stay surface level, right?
Yeah.
And then you get tons of objections at the end. Then you start chasing and life becomes stressful when it doesn't have to be, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Who wants to be exhausted all the time selling? Selling should be easy, should be profitable, and you're helping them find and solve their problems to get where they want to go. It's a win-win for both parties, right? Okay. So that's a little bit about connecting. There's a lot more there that you learn. And we teach all that in our virtual training courses. Now, situation questions. So at this point, we're connected, help disarm them. Yep. We still want to keep disarming them throughout the entire sales process. Now, with what you sell, it's more of a B to C sale. Is it a 1-call close or a 2-call close with what you do? Okay, you're a 1-call close with your B2C sale. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So the next part we want to go through and help them find out is what is their current situation. So we want to ask situation questions that help them and you see what's really going on. So there's several situation questions we've tried to ask, and they're all in the virtual training course as well. What's one good situation question that you're using, and how do people respond to that?
It'd pretty much just be like, curiously, like, what are you doing now to sort of get your message out in the world?
Okay, why are you asking them that with what you sell?
Well, because I help them get their message out. I need to understand their current status, what's going on now.
You need to find out what they're currently doing to get the message that they believe in to the world so they can see. And that TEDx is a platform to do that, a major platform. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's some other situation questions you're asking based on what they tell you from that and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us about problem awareness questions, because now once we've connected, we've connected with them, taken the focus off us, put it on them. We've disarmed them where they're starting to open up. They feel comfortable with this. Okay. He's not just a salesperson trying to stuff their solution down my throat like everybody else. We're helping them find out what their current situation is. Now we have to help them see what their real problems are. Because most prospects, even if they book on your calendar, most prospects don't even understand what their real problems are most of the time, right?
No idea.
Or maybe they don't understand really how bad the problem is, or the consequences of what will happen if they don't do anything about solving the problem. Okay, so what's one good problem awareness question? Because there's many that you have to ask in your sales process. But what's one good problem awareness question we've taught you to ask, and how do people react to it?
Yeah, be like, I guess, Jeremy, it sounds like you've been doing the Facebook group for about five years now. Do you like the way you're kind of getting your message out and reaching people?
Yeah, and they can say yes, oh yeah, I do, or no, it's not working, or they kind of in the middle. Or even a better question, you can relanguage that and say, okay, so you've been using XYZ strategy, let's say it's a Facebook group, for the last 3 years. Do you like the results you've been getting from that? So you can even ask that. You can even language about the results, because the results are them getting their message out in the world. There's 2 different angles you can ask that question. Now, people are going to say, yes, I do. No, I don't. Or they're going to be like, well, I mean, let's say they're in the middle. They're like, well, I mean, I do, but how would you react to that?
Yeah, I mean, so Jeremy, it sounds like things are going fairly well for you then with kind of the way you're doing it now. Is there anything you would change about the results or the way you're getting your message out there if you could?
Yeah, that's a true truth question. If they say, yeah, I like what I'm doing. Okay, so help me understand. So it's almost like you're asking it skeptically, right? It's almost like,
Yeah.
why the hell am I even here with you? Everything's perfect, right?
Yeah. Like, what's the point of us being on the call at that point?
Yeah, you're in the mentality, right? So you're asking, okay, so I mean, to me, I mean, it sounds like things are going fairly well with what you're already doing to get your message out. Like, is there anything you would change about the results you're getting or the way you're driving that message if you could? How do people respond to that when you ask that?
They say that's when they start to open up, right? It's like, oh, well, yeah, I am getting it out there, but, and then the but is followed by the but is everything that's actually wrong with the situation.
Yeah. The problems start to release. Now, at this point, we can't just sit back and say, oh, they told me a few problems. That must be everything. And just assume that's it. Because a lot of times, even there, people can just tell you like a surface level problem.
Yeah.
But then there's multiple problems behind that, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the sale's made.
Yeah.
So what are, clarifying questions, probing questions? How are you clarifying and probing to really get the real issues out and really what's behind their why? It's not just why they want to be on stage with what you sell or why they want to be on TEDx, but what's behind the why?
Yeah. So you're asking about like kind of clarifying and probing on that?
Yeah. Let's say if somebody says like, oh, I mean, the Facebook group is good, but it's not generating a lot of leads. And, I've got this really important message and blah, 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 blah. What would you ask?
I mean, I guess I would mirror usually is like, if I hear I'd say not generating enough leads and then.
Right. That's a problem.
Just go, not generating enough leads.
Yeah.
And then just put it back in their court.
So that's a probing statement you just did that we teach in the virtual training course. Hold on, not generating enough leads. Oh yeah, I don't get enough leads and blah blah blah. Okay, so you getting on stage.
Yeah.
Why so important to you now though? See, that's an NEPQ probing question, right? So we're helping to come out. Okay, I digress. There's a lot more there that we could go over, but we don't have time. That's all in the virtual training course. All right. Solution awareness questions. Once you've helped them see what their current situation is, you're helping them build a gap in their mind, right? By all these newfound problems that are suddenly coming to their light. They've thought about these problems before, or maybe thought a little bit about it, but it really has never been at the surface of their mind.
Totally.
Now they're coming to the surface at this point.
Yeah.
So you're helping build that gap. Now you got to get them to see with your solution awareness questions what their future looks like once all these newfound problems are solved. We call that their objective state. And there's several situation or solution awareness questions we have to ask in different order and reason, especially with what you said. But just give an example of one that you're using.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, before chatting with us, have you been out there looking for a way to sort of, increase your results as far as getting your message out there? Or I guess, what have you been trying or looking at?
Okay. Tell us why we've taught you to ask that question.
It's really good for objection prevention because like what it allows insight for, at least in my opinion, has been like, what's the decision-making process of this person? And have they actually even been taking any action towards solving this problem? And then that's allowing them to tell themselves either they haven't been solving it, they haven't been trying anything, or that what they've been trying isn't even working. It's like reaffirming that. Yeah.
So it's building more urgency in their mind. It's helping them relive the pain of the problem not being solved, right?
Yeah.
And whether that's they haven't really done anything. So that prevents them from at the end, like, well, now's not a good time for this. Like my aunt's coming over for Christmas. Maybe, yeah, maybe after that's relatives are over, then you call back 2 weeks later. Well, now's not a good time because I'm busy at work, but how about in the spring? You call back in the spring. Well, it's really busy with my kids' spring break. Summer's going to be a better time. You call back in the summer. Well, everybody's here for vacation. Fall. See if we can't help them over to even come, like what's prevented in the past from changing their situation. We're going to keep getting those same type of objections at the end because they still have it in their mind, right?
Yep.
So as salespeople, we can't have this in our mind like, well, my prospects just have limiting beliefs. They have fear. Well, no shit, Sherlock. But that's your job as a sales professional to learn how to help them overcome those things. That's why you get paid as a sales professional. So you can do that, right? It's not like everybody's just going to be lined up. Here's my credit card. Thanks for calling. Like, we're not order takers here. Okay. Orders takers don't make any money. All right. It's skill level. Now, a lot of other solution awareness questions that you have to ask after that and for different reasons, but consequence questions, because once we've helped them see what that future is going to look like, and that's more towards the end of solution awareness questions and stage, we then want to ask a consequence question that kind of rips that future away from them, where they have to defend themselves on why they need to change now, not later. What's a good consequence question we try to ask?
Totally. I mean, Jeremy, but like what happens if you don't do anything about this though, and like the message never really gets out there, and you never even make the impact that you really want to make? Like, what's going to happen then?
That's a really emotional question for somebody that you're selling to. How do they react to that?
Well, a lot of times they actually try to go, oh, that could never happen. There's like this one moment of they try to deflect it at first, and then we just kind of come back. But it's like, well, what if it really did?
But what happens if it does? If you don't do anything about this, and then your message just never gets out there? Like, what happens to the world then?
Yeah, especially if it's something that's like very, like you said, the world. Like if it's really environmental, or it's like got this bigger picture vision behind it, it's like then they're going to paint the picture of a future that looks pretty god awful. Yeah. Okay.
All right. And there's some other things you can do if they come back and say, well, I don't know. Well, are you willing to sell for that? Now, see how I leaned in and I said that with empathy? I'm not saying that like a douche. There's many different reasons. And notice how Mason, when he's asking these questions, do you notice his tonality? Do you notice his verbal pausing? Do you notice his body language and what he's doing with his hands? That's part of what we train you in our virtual training programs, because if you don't learn those little nuances, your questioning doesn't open up the prospect, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Presentation. We don't have time to go through in your presentation and how we construct those and connect the emotional dots. What's one good commitment? Because in your industry, you do a one-call close. Obviously different than more of a B2B complex sound environment where it's multiple touches and to the next step. What's one good commitment question that you've learned how to use, and how does it work?
Sure. I mean, I guess, Jeremy, based on everything we covered, do you feel like this could be the answer for you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess, could I ask why you feel like it could be though?
Good NEPQ probing question. Okay, so with what we've gone through here, do you feel like this could be the answer for you? See how the verbal pause there, right?
Yeah.
Now, everybody on here, why do we have a verbal pause there? In your mind, Mason, why do we have a verbal pause there?
When we slow down our words, people can slow down their thinking process and really be present and actually process that question fully. It
causes them to think deeper about the question we asked. When we ask our questions fast, it triggers them to give you a knee-jerk reaction answer, right? It's just like if you walk into a clothing store and you're looking for a nice new flannel shirt, whatever you're looking for, and the salesperson comes up to you, how can I help you? Just looking. Knee-jerk question, knee-jerk response.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay. Does everybody see that triggers just fight or flight mode? Okay. All right, Mason, any last words of advice you would give anybody here that's maybe even brand new to sales, how do I get better? Like, how do I make a lot of money like Mason? Somebody maybe that's even a vet that's like, man, I can't get to where Mason's at. Mason's beard just must be too cool. I'm not, how do I figure this out?
That's it. You just got to get the lumberjack look. No, I think like some of the reframes from Matt of all about, our decision-making process, right, is based off the perspective that we have. So look for a mentor who has the results in the decision-making process that's got the kind of results that you actually want. So like reason I hired Jeremy, right, and I hired Matt and the team was because I saw that they had the results, and not only that they had the testimonials. And
we only have 7,000 plus. I don't know. I'm sure all those people got lucky, even though we don't even. They're unsolicited testimonials too. We need to start soliciting more testimonials.
Totally. So I mean, it's just that willingness to get creative, right? Like I didn't have necessarily the funds in the beginning to actually invest in something like this, but the willingness to get creative to just make it happen, because I realized the cost of not doing this was going to be me chilling on my aunt's couch.
Yeah, because where would you be financially right now had you not learned those skills?
I don't really know, man. It wouldn't be pretty. Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like, which is more expensive, really, when you look at it? Is it more expensive to get the funding together, to get the advanced training so you sell more right now, you double, triple, quadruple your sales right now and your income? Or is it more risky to do nothing at all, keep selling the same way, income stays the same, and nothing ever changes? Like, which is more risky?
Yeah, I mean, I made $1,500 my first year as a sales rep, and then like the second year with NEPQ, like actually being full time, it was like 153, 154.
Yeah, from what I understand, you're on pace for 240 now.
Yeah,
good for you. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: you're still learning, even from what I asked you today. If you change this and you change that, you'll jump to 30,000 a month and 35,000 a month. So that's a great thing, is you're still going through the training and you're still improving month in, month out. As our good friend Bradley always says, is training something you did, or is training something that you do? Because even last year when you got in the training and you went from like basically 0 to 150, 160 grand, you could have stopped training then. But would you be on pace to make 240 this year had you stopped learning and training? No. And so if you stop now, they just stay at the same income. But because you keep learning, and it's an ever learning process with our virtual training courses and the group training and all that stuff we do, your income keeps going up. All right.
Yep.
Mason, thanks for being on with us today. Enjoy sunny San Diego. I'm going to be out there next week in Newport Beach. I know it's north of you, but I'm going to be enjoying some of the same sun and beach for a week, taking a week off, taking the kids out there and the fam and just hanging out, having some fun. We'll still be going live next week. Might not be me. It might be Matt and Marco and some of our guys, Chris, our VP and stuff like that. We'll still be going in there. We will go live tomorrow. We will be going live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern with a Q&A here in the Facebook group. So if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube, you haven't joined the free Facebook group too yet, you're welcome to do that. Just go to I'll have somebody post it on LinkedIn for you guys and on YouTube. But if you're on YouTube and we can't post it, just go to www.salesrevolution.pro. So go to salesrevolution.pro. Right when you join, check your DMs. Somebody on my team, myself, maybe Marco Cortese, our CRO, or Matt Ryder, our CEO, or somebody on our team, and they'll let you know that they're with Jeremy Miner and the 7th level team, so it's not some weirdo. We'll message you a free training on NEPQ and kind of an introductory, the NEPQ 101 mini course. And we go live in the Facebook group 3 or 4 times a week. Now, hey, you want to learn advanced skills like Mason has learned in the last year and a half that took him literally from $0 on his aunt's couch, not so comfy couch, all the way to now this year, he's on pace to make 240 grand. Hey, has your life changed financially a little bit, just making $0 to 240 grand?
It's been a huge change, man.
Yeah, because San Diego, you can't make $0 and survive out there. From what I heard, it's somewhat
living on the beach would not be possible.
You couldn't even live on the beach without making, yeah, exactly, at least 6 figures. So you want to learn those type of skills. You want to learn those type of skills, right? You guys, hey, so if you want to start making 10 grand a month in commissions in the industry you're in right now, because we train every industry on planet Earth. You want to start making 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month, consistently every month, 25 grand a month, 30 grand a month, maybe you're already at 20 and you're like, how do I get to 30 or 40 grand a month in commissions? Then just message me directly on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and we will message you back, either myself or some of our team, and give you different training options. You could even book with one of our team members. They don't buy, and then go over different options we have to get you to those places like our clients are now making, that you can make as well. It just takes the right skills. You don't even have to grow a beard like Mason. There you go.
No,
all right, Mason, thank you. Thanks for being on, brother. We appreciate you. Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here. Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're gonna help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.